Vibrio cholera is a pathogenic bacterium that causes a terrible disease that's called cholera. So it's named after the bacterium. It's estimated that there are hundreds of thousands of cases of cholera a year. People get cholera from eating or drinking contaminated food or water. And so cholera can get into the water supply. And when people ingest cholera and it gets into their bodies, it causes a disease that causes this massive diarrhea that people get, and they can actually die from cholera from dehydration during this acute phase. And so cholera is prevalent in the world. It's prevalent in places that don't always have access to clean water. So typically poorer countries or countries that are undergoing civil strife or wars or catastrophes like earthquakes where the water supply gets interrupted. And it's this very insidious bacterium because its strategy is not to stay in the host, the human host, forever. So it gets in when people drink contaminated water, it multiplies like crazy, it releases all of these toxins that give you the illness, the symptoms, the diarrhea, right? And then it's multiplying in the people's gut, and it gets out by the gazillions out into the environment, and then the strategy is then to go infect the next person. So it sort of comes in guns loaded, it's very infectious, and it gets out at very high numbers to do it again. When I think about the arc of this field, right, it started in this marine bacterium that was bioluminescent, and that's a Vibrio. Those bacteriums' names were Vibrio harveyi and Vibrio fischeri, and they are beautiful, glow-in-the-dark, marine Vibrios that are not pathogens. Cholera is a marine Vibrio that's a cousin to the quorum-sensing originator Vibrios that's pathogenic. So the original bacteria used quorum sensing to unify the production of bioluminescence. Cholera uses quorum sensing to unify its pathogenicity, its virulence program. So if you make in a lab Vibrio cholera mutants that can't talk or they can't hear, so they don't have quorum sensing, they're not pathogenic in a mouse model. So that made us think that perhaps if we could deliberately interfere with cholera quorum sensing with small molecules, right, maybe those could be medicines, right? And if they're small molecules and we could make them potent, and if we could make them specific, and if we could make them cheaply, not me, somebody, right, maybe you could help hundreds of thousands or millions of people who simply aren't going to have access to clean water. And that, to me, would be a remarkable outcome of the quorum sensing field, given that it never started, the field didn't start for that reason, right? We didn't even know pathogens used quorum sensing. Remember, it started in this glow-in-the-dark bacterium, right? And so I think it would be really nice if from that sort of anomalous finding from this goofy, beautiful, harmless bacteria ended up teaching us how to make a medicine for people that don't have access to medicine routinely. That would be a great day for this field.